You know what do you want from a partner. Fundamentally, what do you need? I mean, the first thing is that, well, hopefully you, like I said, you're blessed with the fact that you find each other attractive, and I think it's very difficult for the relationship to begin or proceed or sustain itself without that. But having that, then what do you want? Well, you want someone that you can trust. You want someone that you can build a view of the future with. And you want someone that you can negotiate with, and that's very hard to negotiate with people because they have to tell you what they think, they have to know what they want or figure it out. They have to tell you what they want. They have to be satisfied when they get what they want, which is also a very difficult thing to manage. And you have to continually update that, because you know she should be more on the side of who you could be than on the side of who you are. And if she's deluded enough or terrified enough to worship you in your current form, then well, that doesn't say much for her. And it certainly isn't very helpful for you. You want someone that's gonna get in the way now and then, you know, and to contend with. And I've been fortunate in my marriage because I have someone to contend with. You know, we have our discussions, and they're not easy. Well, but partly because we have hard problems to solve, because life is full of hard problems. I want someone who will stand up, you know, and have her say, even if it's not what I would say, and maybe I'm even willing at times, because she's quite intuitive and a good dreamer, and I'm more facile verbally. And so, relationship, because if I'm in a particularly ornery mood and she has something to say, I can usually slice up her arguments verbally, you know, and that's fine as far as I'm concerned, because I get to win. But it's stupid. Well, it's stupid. It's first of all, that doesn't mean I'm right. It just means I can formulate verbal arguments slightly faster than she can. But her intuitions and her dreams are often extraordinarily accurate, and so we've learned to some degree to buttress each other's arguments just on the off chance that the person that you were foolish enough to marry might know something you don't now, and then about something important. And so what do you want? Well, you want someone to contend with. Then it's an adventure, you know, and then you have someone that you love and that you respect, and that's not a bad combination for longevity of relationship. And then maybe if you have someone that you love and respect and that you can communicate with, then your children also love and respect her or him, and then that's pretty good for them, because they've got some parents that they could love and respect. That's a good combination. You know, it solidifies their life, and so you want to contend with them. You want a job that's challenging, I would say, that pushes you beyond what you already are. And God only knows how hard you need to be pushed in order to go beyond where you are. But you know, to some degree, if you have a choice, you know, it's not that uncommon that what we'll do is choose to be pushed to the limit, especially when we're at our best. We think, well, where's the limit? It's here. Maybe I can manage that. I'm going to push myself right to the damn limit. Then I'm going to push myself a little bit over just to see if it's possible. And if that happens, then you know, you emerge with a sense of triumph. I'm now more than I was. Right? And maybe that's what you're here to be, is to be more than you were into. push those limits, and I've often thought that I've been fortunate. In my marriage, it turns out that Tammy is very suited. I am sure I'm speaking for her, but she doesn't have a microphone and actually prefers to stay in the background to some degree for various reasons. She's very suited to a life like this. She's quite stable emotionally, so she doesn't suffer from a lot of anxiety. She likes to travel. She likes meeting new people. She likes the adventure, and she's supporting what I'm doing. And so that's working, and thank God for that. And then she also keeps an eye on what I'm doing and lets me know when it's going well and when she thinks it needs improvement, and she helps me figure out where I'm going next. Because for the last 2 years my schedule has been so busy that I don't know what I'm doing next, usually maybe the next day. And so her job, because we've also parceled out jobs, is to make sure that I get wherever I'm going next on time and ready. And so far, that's brought, I would say, incalculable benefits fundamentally, and because we agreed on it. We had our little constitution in place. We were able to handle the stress, because I think we've been in 100, and it's damn near 150 cities in 350 days. And so it's very heavy traveling schedule. But, and the other thing too is I trust her. She tells me the truth. It isn't necessarily what I want to hear. Well, you can tell that's the truth, man. It's what you don't necessarily want to hear, but so she's a very good counselor. And that's turned out to be exceptionally helpful. You find people attractive for reasons that you can't always determine. And so that was part of it. I mean, I've always found her very attractive, and that continues, and I liked her combativeness, you know. Like, I think that there's, you want someone, I think, in a relationship that you can spar with. And it's partly because you have hard problems to solve. And if the person that you're with isn't willing to put forward their opinion, then you only have half the cognitive power that you would otherwise have, you know. And hopefully you find someone who's interestingly different from you, like not so different that you can't communicate, and you have to be careful of that, but interestingly different, and then hopefully they have the ability and the will to express their opinion, and then, well, then it's, you know, then your interest stays heightened, and there has to be that tension in a relationship, you know. People think, well, I want to get along perfectly with my partner. It's like, no, you probably don't. You just get bored, and then you go looking for trouble, and so you want a little bit of trouble in the relationship, and a little bit of mystery, and a little bit of combativeness, and the ability to exchange opinions forthrightly, and I trust her, which is a huge element. I mean, when we finally did decide to get together permanently, we were both in our later 22nd, and you know, one of the things that I had learned by that point and insisted to her about was that we had to tell each other the truth, and she took to that wholeheartedly, you know, and for better and for worse, because truths can be harsh. Married romance sort of becomes number 11 on a List of 10 necessities, you know it's still up there. But it gets pushed out by everyday concerns, work and domestic responsibilities and children and all of that. You have to force it back up into the top 3 or 4, and you know that also stabilizes your relationship across time and is good for your kids and good for you. So that's worth the work, and it's really useful to know that it is work you need. It is work, it's not just going to happen, and the fact that it isn't happening for you, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means that it's work, you have to aim at it.